So that means we're on. So Lauren, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, you are the first guest to bring wine to the show, so thank you.
Awesome. Well, I have to bring this signature blue bubbly, and it's just a fun way to kick off whatever, a trip usually, or a honeymoon.
I have never had blue bubbly before, so I think we should go ahead and open them.
All right.
I mean, we've been looking and talking about them for quite some time now. But I mean, it's perfectly on par with the rest of your blue box here that you have. So super cute. Oh, and it's one of the twist offs. Nice.
Oh, good.
Oh, wait. Double twist off? Oh, yours just... Oh, okay.
Okay.
This is going to be the hard part for me. I feel like I always over pour these when we get to the top of them. I'll pour one for Scott too so you can try it.
Sure.
Scott, have you ever had blue bubbly?
I have not.
All right. Yay.
So what makes it blue?
I think it's distilled with blueberry. And I don't normally love sweet drinks, but this one's pretty good.
Nice. Well, cheers.
Cheers. Oh, that color reminds me of the ocean.
It really does. Oh my gosh. So yeah, and I was just saying, I have to know, I'm convinced that there is something that's like postpartum depression, but when you get back from a trip. Is there like an actual term for it?
I call it a vacation hangover.
Yes.
Because I'm just sad and don't know what to do with myself, and you have to unpack all your stuff. So yeah, it's a bummer.
That's exactly how I feel right now. So, being gone for 2 weeks, and then the last part of my trip, we were in Florida and we were on the beach, and it was just beautiful weather, like 80s, sunny, in this beautiful house, and literally like, here's the door and like, here's the beach, like right there.
Oh my gosh.
So it was pretty much living in like a fairy tale land for 2 weeks.
Right.
And then I just got back on Saturday, and I'm just like, oh, wait, I'm back in my real life.
Well, the best remedy is to plan another trip. I always try to, get something planned, get something on your calendar.
Yeah. And that's such a great advice, because it then gives you something to look forward to next. But I just don't even know where I would go at this point. I mean, I'm still I want to go international again so badly, but then I just don't know what's even open right now.
Yeah, well, a lot's opening this week. So I think as time goes on, we see countries opening up, more air schedules are happening, so and people feel more confident. So I think the future is bright for travel.
Well, I even saw that I think Europe is starting to open up again for travel.
Yeah,
right?
Like within Europe, they're open. So if Italy to Spain or whatever. So that's definitely open. I don't think it's ready for US.
Right.
They don't want us there.
Yeah. Well, we're a little bit behind everybody. So I get why, they can't allow us yet. But if they could, hasten that process along, that would be great. But well, again, thank you for joining us, Lauren, with the Travel Mechanic, who is a travel planner and honeymoon expert. So I know that's such a fun topic for couples to talk about. How'd you get into it?
Well, my mom was a travel agent way back in the day when you had to book a flight, you had to call a travel agent.
Right.
So she's been in it for 25, 30 years. And then as a kid, we traveled all over the place. So I've had a travel passion and travel bug from very young age. And as I went through, I became a teacher, but I would always plan trips for my, colleagues, friends, honeymoons. And on the summers I had off. So I was booking trips. And then I decided I didn't want to go back to teaching. I had my daughter, and I was like, my mom was like, you need to get on board and do this and specialize in honeymoons. And that's what I did. And I haven't ever looked back since. It's been amazing.
That is amazing. And do you see that there's been a drop off with people now being able to purchase online, or are people still, because it's a honeymoon, because it's a specialty vacation, so to speak, they're still seeking out like expert advice?
Yeah, I think a lot of people just don't know we're there and don't know what we can do for them. So I'm always educating everyone on Instagram, wherever, on podcasts, just telling people that this is a win-win. I mean, a honeymoon is a special trip. And, we're here to take care of all of the details, take all the stress away. And planning a trip, as you know, takes a ton of time. We kind of do that on the back end and send you off on your way.
Yeah, and that's so great because you already have so much to plan and focus for the actual wedding that it's just one less thing that you have to worry about.
Right.
And something I feel like you think, oh, I've been on vacation before, so we might not need help on that. But then to your point, there's so much that you don't know because you just haven't planned it before.
Right. And the logistics. Like a lot of people get bogged down when I talk to brides and grooms or any engaged couples, they get bogged down with the logistics. Like even Hawaii, for example, it's just like they want to island hop and they want to rent the car. What should they do? And everything like that. So we kind of put it all together. And the nice thing is everything is customized. So I sit down with the couple. We usually do a Zoom call and they tell me what they like, what they don't like. I get to know them. And then I basically design a customized trip for them. And we work together. If they like it, then it's good to go. If they need to change some things, we do. And then we give them all the tools to be ready for that trip because yes, most people take their honeymoons right after their wedding or a week or two, and there's so much going on. So I make sure they get one of these boxes in the mail, which I know we'll talk about in a bit. And we also give them an app and a paper document. So if they have to send to their parents or family members, they could send them that and just let them know. And then they also have the app. Everything's on there.
Wow, that's amazing. What app are they using? Is it something?
So it's our app that we've partnered
great.
up with. We use trip plans. It's more of a customized. So we put your whole itinerary on there. You download the free app once we get the whole thing together. And then you have on your phone directions. You have restaurant recommendations, things to do. Because not everything, you can't plan every minute of your whole honeymoon.
Yeah.
Or I just don't like to do that.
Right.
So, so then I give them the guidebook all on there, and then they have the tools to make it really amazing.
Wow, that sounds perfect. Do you plan like bachelorette or bachelor parties as well?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I've planned some bachelorette parties, international ones. So, groups that want to go to Cancun or Cabo or something like that. We definitely know the spots to go and get it all together. And they also do get a bachelorette box. So we kind of customize it to who we're working with.
That's amazing. And it's such a good point too that even restaurants, right? Like you don't know where to go. You're not at home and you don't want to just go anywhere because again, it's supposed to be this extra special experience. Yeah. So I love that.
And then you don't want your head in Yelp the whole time either.
No.
Like you just don't want to do that. I mean, it's fine and Yelp is great, but you could be spending so much time on your phone and glued to that it's just kind of nice to have a short list of options.
Yeah. And is it that great? I mean, I feel like
I know. It's not my fave.
Sometimes I go on there and I'll see things that I know are good that aren't rated well. And then the opposite, things I know are bad that are rated well. So I'm like, I don't know what if I trust. I would definitely trust your advice and recommendations over Yelp any day.
Right.
So
and that's why it's so great to use a travel agent because you could crowdsource all day long. You could pour on TripAdvisor and all of that. But at the end of the day, those are strangers and who knows, like people that aren't like you. And it's their advice. So it's kind of like, who do you want to choose? What advice are you going to take to heart? So
right. Well, and I think it's good because nobody, even a now married couple, they're not going to love all of the same things. So what happens if somebody really wants to go parasailing and the other one's afraid of heights, and then somebody wants to go scuba diving but the other person's afraid of sharks? Like, how do you find compromise? And I'm sure you can think outside the box on those types of activities.
So that's why I love meeting, the engaged couple together.
Right.
Because a lot of times one wants to do this adventurous, crazy, busy honeymoon and the other one's like, I just want to lay on the beach or the pool. And, usually the bride's like, I've been planning this wedding. Like, I need a vacay. So, I have great destinations that could kind of meet the needs of both people.
Right.
And we'll throw in excursions and, I space it out because you don't want to do you don't want to overplan. I think that is a common problem when planning vacations.
Yeah. And I can see too, like you might have something planned. And then to your point, it's like, you know what, let's skip that and go to the beach this day because we just want to relax or something. Like,
Right.
it is a vacation at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So you want to have the time for yourself and just kind of soak in the newlywed experience.
Totally.
That's great. So what are in these boxes that you're sending to everybody?
Yeah, so after usually about 3 weeks before their honeymoon, they get mailed this blue box. And who doesn't love like happy mail? You know, it's super fun. So of course you need a door hanger. Just married.
Oh, I
And then
love
you have
that.
a honeymoon in progress, because we all know what happens on the honeymoon.
Love it.
And then in here we have champagne glasses.
Oh, super
and
cute.
Mr. and Mrs. And we could customize them however, but
Right.
they're super cute because you have to pack. And I just always like to pour a little bubbly. You could tell I love bubbly. But it's just nice to kind of have fun while packing for your honeymoon.
Definitely.
And then we also give a carry-on cocktail kit. It's usually themed for the destination that you're going to. And this is so fun because you could bring the little airline bottles or just get them on the airplane. And then this is everything with it, how to make the drink. And it just gives you cute coasters, and it's totally Instagrammable, like when you're on the airplane, honeymoon
Yeah.
takeoff.
Oh,
so that's in
cute.
there. And then depending on your destination, we have the cozies, or, what's getting really popular too are the big tumblers. So it just kind of depends on where you're going, what we're going to throw in there. And then, oops.
I think they're plastic, right?
Yes, they
Travel
are plastic. And then this is one of our newer items, and you're probably like, what is that, a toothbrush holder? Well, we really like to try to be eco-friendly and think about the environment when you do travel. So to reduce all the plastic straws, they're not giving out straws to many resorts and places. So we enclose 4 paper straws. And when you're done with this, it is a reusable toothbrush holder or whatever you want to use.
Oh, cute.
So it's kind of nice. You could add your own straws in there if you have one that you love. But it's just kind of nice to think about that, especially if you're going to an all-inclusive resort, because you're going to go through those straws.
Who would have thought, like, that's, again, something that you would never think about, that a resort is not going to give you a straw.
Right.
But then
I know. And
like-
try drinking a pina colada or any frozen drink without a straw. It's like not fun.
No, I love that.
So it's just a little eco-friendly. And then, of course, you need luggage tags. So we have Mr. and Mr. Luggage Tags.
Oh my God, that is so cute. I love that. I think that that's also perfect. I mean, I'm obsessed with the carry-on cocktail
It's so
kit.
cute.
I've never even heard of these before.
Yeah,
but
they're super fun. And then depending on where you go, we put in a few other goodies, like our favorite recipe from the destination, or, whatever little thing they have. Like Tahiti is known for vanilla, so we always put a little vanilla in there, or Costa Rica is known for the coffee. So
That's great. And look, again, 3 weeks before you're going, so then it just kind of gets you even more excited, and kind of, you're probably really close to the wedding date as well. So maybe if you're starting to stress out about that, it's like a friendly reminder of what's to come after.
Yes.
I love that.
Because I remember being a bride, it was stressful, especially right before the wedding. That last month, there was a lot of stress. So this is just something fun to lighten it up and have something to look forward to.
Yeah, that's great. And it's just another little touch of, and a reminder of like, these are the things you probably aren't going to think about.
Right.
But we've got you covered and everything. And I'm sure, I mean, I know when we were talking earlier, you mentioned a story to me about a couple that you were working with and just things they definitely didn't expect and then had to deal with.
Yeah, so I have kind of a pre-COVID couple, and then we have a during COVID issue. So I'll start about the first one. I had the cutest couple wanting to go to Bali, and that is such an amazing honeymoon destination. They were super excited. I mean, we spent months planning this, and as this was end of January, and as things, we heard in the news, Asia, we heard about COVID. We knew about it. Us Americans never thought it was going to come here, but so they were definitely nervous. And I had an on-site team in Bali communicating with them every day, and they were like, we are going to supply hand sanitizer, but make sure your clients have masks. So we do have a picture, Scott. I don't know if you're able to bring it up there.
Oh yeah, there they are.
And they masked up and they're like, you know what, we're going. I think having the contact in Bali and knowing like, well, what's really going on there? Are they going to be safe? Going through all the measures that the hotels that they particularly were staying at, what they were doing, they felt really confident. So yeah, they had a mask up. That was the first like honeymoon photo. But as their honeymoon went on, it was great. They stayed at some amazing places. Scott, there was a picture there of yes.
Wow.
Can you imagine
That's amazing.
bringing in your new marriage there? It was a
Yes,
splurge.
I can. Yes, I can.
It was quite a splurge, and that's how I like to customize honeymoons. You know, they gave me their budget and we did have to cut some places, but I was like, guys, you have to splurge. I mean, you're going to Bali. You need to like knock it out of the park with the accommodations.
Yep.
So yeah, they stayed there. They were having a great time, and they had found one other place that one of their friends stayed at. And they're like, "Can you get this property?" It wasn't one of my preferred, but I was able to get it. So we added that in. They went to this resort, and when they got there, they wanted to cry. It was like a level of a hostel. And I was like, my heart was stopped. I was like, oh my God, I thought you said your friend stayed here. Like, I don't know this property. So my on-site team was calling the hotel. We're like, this is unacceptable. So I advocate for my clients. And she was just like stressed out. I'm like, listen, go have a drink, go relax. I'll take care of this. So we were kind of, there is a huge time difference, but she's texting me and I said, just go ahead, relax. It was late. I was like, you're going to have to stay the night there. I need some time. So they had excursions the next day. So they were out and I was like, these people can't, like she texted me, we didn't sleep. There was a leak fully like dripping on her head, creaky bed, which that's like a no-go for a honeymoon.
If there's ever a time you don't want the creaky bed, it's on your honeymoon.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was just, I was just like, I've got to get them out of there.
Yeah.
So I worked my magic. I got them to another resort similar to that, another one on the beach, looking over the waters. With the plunge pool, that's what they wanted.
Wow.
I had my team pick them up, bring them to the new resort, and they were happy as can be. So they did have a little glitch, and that does happen. But if they had booked that themselves, like she was like, I don't know what we would have done. We would have been hours on the phone, totally distraught. And so it was, yes, it wasn't perfect, but as you know, as a traveler, travel's never 100% perfect.
No, and if you can get it resolved that quickly, and again, it's like I'm sure even while you were working on it, they're still stressed out about it, and they're like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? But to know that they have somebody at home who can actually do something about it instead of them just on the internet frantically scrambling trying to find something. And when you're in a foreign country so far from home, I mean, it's not even like they're in London, right? They're in Bali,
right?
Like, this is not a land that is similar to ours, so it's probably even more stressful. And just to have that backup on that trip, what I'm sure they don't even think about that part. It's more of a funny story now.
Yeah. Totally.
Right. But it's like being able to stay at that resort.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I mean, it's beautiful.
Beautiful. So if they were stuck in that creaky bed for like another 4 nights, it just would have been terrible.
That would have ruined it.
Yeah. So they were super appreciative and I felt like it was a win. They had an amazing honeymoon and that's what it's all about. That's what I love, having that happy moment from my couples that they had a great time and great celebration.
Definitely. Oh, that's cute too.
Yeah, that's them on the beach, the resorts, and that's the thing with Bali too. There's so much on the internet and everything looks great, but the pictures from Bali on the internet just don't really reflect how it is. So we do have a pretty high standard, and everyone thinks, well, Bali's so cheap. I'm like, well, yes, if you want to do a hostel situation, not for your honeymoon. Like there's a day and time in everyone's life that they should do that. But, we do have a pretty high standard because I love to deliver a product that I can back up and I know they will have a great time.
Well, and the fact that you have a preferred vendor list, like most wedding planners and venues have here, is great because like when this couple called you, it's like, well, I don't know where you are. Like I didn't recommend this place. Right. But then to try to reach out to, you know, some of the places, you know, I'm sure that completely turned everything around for them. So
yeah, it totally did.
Wow.
Yeah, and this is Tahiti. And this is Bora Bora. I do send clients here a lot. It's hard. A lot of clients from California or the West Coast go because it's only an 8-hour flight. So people from the East Coast, it's, you know, you're 5 hours to LAX and then another 8. So if you're not scared of long flights, it's totally worth it. I mean, don't get me wrong. So that is really so picturesque, and people call me all the time and they want to go to Bora Bora. And I'm here to tell them the real deal. How much it typically is. This is one of your higher end honeymoons. They start around $10,000 for 2 people for about island hopping, you know, everything included. And it goes up from there.
Right.
Way up.
It doesn't get cheaper.
Right. But I mean, talk about those photos. If you would love water and activities, Tahiti would be a great place.
I would like give my whole wedding party or guests like Happy Meals for their wedding meal just so I could go there.
I know.
Sorry, y'all, don't get excited. My wedding's all my money can go into the honeymoon. Because that's what it's all about, your priorities, right? Like if you're somebody who has planned this big elaborate wedding your whole life, the honeymoon might not be a big deal to you. I'm the opposite. I'm like, put all the money into the honeymoon in the trip, and then the wedding can just be like my family.
Yeah. I mean, I went to Thailand for my honeymoon, and it was one of my best trips still to this day.
Wow.
Amazing. So I'm all about splurging and doing your really big bucket list trip for your honeymoon.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. And here, this is Costa Rica. Costa Rica is totally underrated, but amazing romantic spot. So, and they have all these swim up pools. So nice. A little
cool,
villa, like totally private. And I think it really meets the needs of someone who wants relaxation, but also adventure, because there is so much to do in Costa Rica. Zip lining, cloud forest, hiking, wildlife, like if you love animals.
Oh, cool.
So there's so much there, and a lot of culture. They value tourism so much that they bring you in like you're their family and just show you an amazing time.
That would be good for like a couple that wants a little bit of both too. If you
Yes.
have like adventure seeker and then relaxation, because I mean those swim up pools are nice, and the privacy thing. I think that's what most
Yes.
people want. They've probably been surrounded by their loving friends and family, which
Right.
was great, but then to have some alone time is really nice.
Yeah,
So.
and Costa Rica, we have some like tree houses, so you can literally like not hike. You're going to whitewater raft into your tree house, and we have like the hotel staff will drive you can't drive up, they drive your luggage up, so you're just gonna take a wet bag, you totally whitewater raft up there, and it is all inclusive because you're literally in a rainforest. But they have hot springs on property. You could go whitewater rafting all day long. So there's so many unique accommodations, and I mean, I am all about finding them all over the world. Like, I love a good boutique hotel. The uniqueness is what excites me so much. So I really love helping couples that are looking for that, whether it's their honeymoon. I do all types of travel, you know, anniversary trip too, but that honeymoon, I could really love to deliver that experience.
That's insane. Like
Yeah.
white water rafting up to your hotel. You only have a bag with you.
Yeah.
How much would something like that cost? I mean, if Bora Bora is starting at 10.
Yeah, so you could do Costa Rica really high end, like, you know, your little treehouse with 2 villas, private villas and things. I would say about 6,000-7,000 with air and everything.
Oh, that's
and
not-
most of your meals, excursions.
That's not bad at all.
No.
I mean, especially if it's all inclusive and it's more high end on the scale. Like that's
Right.
for a honeymoon, I think super doable, especially when you're spending all this money on the wedding. It's like,
Right.
this is your one time to splurge.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you might as well splurge. So, you know, that's a big thing too. I talk to my clients about is they come to me with a budget and they're just like, what can we do for this budget? And I like to kind of push that to the side. And I really want to hear what they want to do and what they like to do. Then I have my budget little saving tips on my back end, and which I would love to share with the audience here today, is that the number one thing is all about timing. You really need to think about when you're going to travel. So little tips would be go in shoulder season, and it varies based on destination, but you don't want to go in the popular season. You don't want to go over any holidays. So if you can avoid those things, you're totally going to save a good amount of money.
Yeah, and do you see that people will like postpone their honeymoon so that they are traveling within those times that aren't like peak months? Because, you know, especially if you're in the spring, right? Like there's probably so many honeymoons happening around the same time because that's a peak wedding season.
Right.
So how long do people wait after the wedding? Is it immediately? Do they delay a little bit?
It just depends on when you're getting married. You know, I think a lot of couples want to go within 6 months or 3 months. So
Definitely.
it just depends. I mean, summer, you have crowds. So, you know, I mean, we've all dealt with it, and, you know, maybe post-COVID, it won't be as crowded.
Right.
But, you know, you're going to have to deal with that. And I kind of love the time I love to travel is November. It is like the best kept secret for tropical type of vacations, November.
Okay.
Because it's no one's traveling. Of course, you want to avoid Thanksgiving. So, you know, early November, mid-October, hurricane season's on like at the tail end, and the weather is amazing, and, you know, it's cheap. So with
That's
those,
awesome.
yeah, those 3 things can really make your budget go further.
I love that. And I think it too depends where they're going, right? I mean, if they're going tropical, then November, because you definitely don't want to go tropical in the summer, right? Because that would be really hot. I'm sure a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, people do. I work with a lot of teachers, and, you know, that's when they have off and they have to do it. And, you know, it's fine. Caribbean's like breezy and gorgeous all year long. That's why it's so popular. But yeah, if you want to go to Greece, November's getting chilly. You're going to, like, all the tourists go away. Things close down. Same with, like, the coast of Amalfi Coast of Italy. You don't want to go in November. So that's why it's great to use a travel agent, because I'm there to kind of navigate best destinations at best time of year.
Oh, I love that. And even if it is hot, like when I was on the beach this last week, I would be in the sun for 5 minutes and then in the water for 5 minutes, and I couldn't sit still. Like I would have to go back and forth. So, but I think there's ways to work around it. But you're right, you don't want to be super cold the whole time, because then you're like, who wants to be wearing a bunch of layers and like acting like you're at home when you're on vacation?
Exactly. Even like the opposite, Iceland. I did a honeymooner. Wanted to go to Iceland in July. This was like the only week. They called me 2 weeks prior to when they wanted to go. And I was like, July in Iceland is not good. Like I mean, Iceland's gorgeous, but you know, they want to do a lot of like the polar things. I'm like, it's not as cold as you think it is. Like things are melted. And so, I mean, we made it work. At least I communicated that with them, and they weren't disappointed. They knew what they were getting. And I'm upfront. You know, I don't work for any resort. We're a boutique travel agency, so we have our clients' interest best of mind. Yeah. So we don't have any sales quotas to meet or anything. So when you start Googling, you see what resorts pay the most money. You see what that is advertising. I mean, it's just crazy how our world is so focused on that. But I'm totally unbiased, and the agents on our team are too. And we love to really help the client the best way. Because if you have a great trip, you're going to come back and ask me for something else, or plan a big birthday celebration, or like whatever.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
You know.
So what would you recommend a couple then for how soon they should be reaching out to you? Because 2 weeks is probably not enough time.
Yeah, that was a little rough. We made it work, but that was tight. The best time is 6 to 9 months prior to your honeymoon. I would say now, with the current state of everything, I think a year, you could lock in some great rates, as long as, you know, you're just getting the land or whatever, and we could put all the pieces together. But yeah. I mean, the sweet spot is definitely like 9 months. Have an idea.
Yeah, that's a good advice, because I don't think many people know even when do they start reaching out.
Right.
Because, and again, with everything happening today, it's like, do you go ahead and start booking things and then potentially have to rebook? I mean, I'm sure you have insurance through your company, right?
Yes, we offer insurance, and we have flexible cancellation policies. So with everything's happened, the travel industry has really adapted. to make people feel confident in traveling. So I think that's like a total win on the consumer side, but it's really hard to navigate. Like, not all travel insurance is the same. Not all resort fine prints are the same. You can't just assume that because we're in this post-COVID world that they're going to let you, cancel and not pay anything. That's not the case.
Yeah.
So, just knowing that fine print. And if you don't want to deal with the fine print, get a travel agent, because we'll do it for you.
Right. So I think the moral of the story is just get a travel agent, and then you literally don't have to worry about anything.
Right. We want to make it, seamless.
Yeah. Well, I think, again, that is something that you don't want to have to think about when you're on this trip right after your big day. You already have that to stress out about, and there's so much to, and it's kind of like, I think of it like a wedding planner for your honeymoon, right? Like, you are literally taking care of all the little details that a couple can't think of when they're planning their wedding. Why you hire a wedding planner? They have, again, the preferred vendor list. They know who to contact and all those great things. So, and I mean, insurance, especially now, is so important. So,
yeah, it's a must.
Yes.
For sure.
What a cute little picture that is.
Yeah, that's just me jet setting away.
I love that. It's so cute. Where were you?
That one is actually in Apex North. That's a local pick.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
That's not anywhere crazy.
Yeah, you look like you're just...
I should have, uploaded some of my own destinations that I've traveled to. But, people always ask me what my favorite destination is.
Yeah.
And that is so hard to answer,
I bet.
What is your favorite destination? Do you have one?
I think it depends on the type of trip. I would say probably one of my tops was Barcelona. I loved Barcelona.
Yes.
And I think just it was such a cool city. There was so much to do. That was a great trip. And I do love the islands too, because I love a good beach vacation. So anytime I'm by the beach or in the water is great. But I think Barcelona is my favorite city so far. But I think I need to step up my destination game, because I feel like I go back to the same places instead of, it's kind of like you go to a restaurant, you order the same meal every single time. I feel like I keep going to the same places and I'm not expanding enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have a birthday coming up. Maybe we'll have to,
yes.
I'm not dropping hints right now to anybody that might be watching this, but if we need to go on another trip, August 20th.
Okay. Oh gosh, yeah. It's great to travel and celebrate something. Birthday, obviously a honeymoon, but it's great to travel and celebrate.
Yeah. Well, and it's just to see different parts of the world and do I'm still thinking about that whitewater rafting trip that you were talking about. That's so unique. You'll never forget that.
Right. And part of it is just having the conversation. People don't know what's out there.
Yeah.
And they're kind of maybe their friends or their families telling them, go to Jamaica. And I love Jamaica, absolutely. But I like to also throw in maybe another place that they haven't thought of, that, wow, you're telling me you like these things, but why don't you try Curacao? Not many people go to Curacao, and it's a great island. So, I love offering that kind of advice, because I want to make sure that my honeymooners and all clients are really happy with the destination.
Yeah. And I think that's great, because you hear about the same couple places how many people have been to Barcelona? Probably a lot if you've gone to Europe. So it's kind of like going to Paris if you're going to France.
Right.
It's everybody goes to Paris, and Paris isn't anything, no
it's
offense,
a city.
but it's not it's not this unique experience, really.
Right.
In my opinion. I wouldn't want to go to Paris on my honeymoon.
Yeah. It's a city.
Yeah.
So some people want a city, but we always like to get them outside of the city.
Well, right. Because there's so much more. That's what's nice about Europe, though, is you can literally go everywhere so quickly, which you can't really do here. Or if you went to an island, you're probably confined within that spot. But
well, I did have a honeymoon couple that ended up in Portugal. And they were they were talking about Barcelona and this and that, and they were couldn't decide. So we ended up, I was like, well, guys, you're telling me you love food. You want the beach. You are open to driving a car. I was like, what about Portugal? Because the best way to see that, of course, you're going to do the city for a few nights in Lisbon, but then you go out on the coast and you drive, you go beaching, you go wine tasting, and it is an amazing experience. So they went for it. And the favorite part I love about this, telling the story, is that, you know, they did Lisbon for 2 nights and it's just a city. They walked around, they did it. And then when they were ready to go out into the country, our company brought them the car to their hotel lobby and just met them in the lobby and handing them the keys. So they saved the entire time of waiting in a car rental place, signing the annoying paperwork, making them get the insurance when you're like, do I even need this car insurance? And it was just, we saved them hours out of their honeymoon. So it's little things like that that you wouldn't think about. Makes a big difference though. And they were so thankful for that.
And that's such a great point, is all the little details that you don't want to think about. Like, even just last week when we were at the beach, they had like beach chairs and umbrellas put out in the morning for you, and then groceries. Like, the house was already stocked when we got there, because who wants to get there and then have to go to the grocery store, because you're staying a week, so you need food, right? You can't just like live off, like, not every meal's gonna be eaten out. So just like those little details of things that you don't typically think about, like renting a car is the worst.
Ew,
always.
I know.
Like, always.
I hate those car rental places.
Right? You probably have to deal with it all the time too. So, but you just think it's just more time that you can spend on the vacation.
Yes.
And less time doing like the everyday thing that you don't want to do.
Right.
Like,
and
like grocery shop. Like, I don't want to do that.
I know. Just order the groceries at home now. You know, it's just like, we know how to simplify the vacations. And I think when you start doing it yourself, there's so many moving parts that you're not thinking like, you're going to be waiting in line here. You wanted to save money, but you're wasting time. And isn't time money? So
well, when you're spending that much money on a vacation, it absolutely is.
Right.
Oh, no. I said a no word. That's what this jar is here for. I don't know if it was used in context. I have this jar here of cash because every time I do something I'm not supposed to do, I have to put money into it. So
I was wondering what that was.
I know. I had one of my college professors on a couple weeks ago, and he was like, so do I have to like tip you to be on the show? I was like, no, it's punishment for me and Scott too. So this is how we keep ourselves honest and like try to self-improve.
Yes,
so it's a good thing.
It.
But now your box is hiding it, so it's nice. People don't know it's back there until now that I made a huge deal about it. But I didn't want you to think I was doing something weird. But anyway, back to the podcast here.
Yeah.
But so, you know, again, COVID is a huge conversation. What are you seeing with couples that are dealing with COVID issues?
Sure. Well, I have to tell the story. It was the craziest story about my couple. They went to Thailand. And again, she wanted to go here so bad. She loved animals. She's telling me all of this. So this was like a really big trip for them that they really looked forward to. They were going in March. So COVID was a thing. We knew about it. People started canceling or just kind of, they kept, I got flooded with emails. Should I go? Should I not? So this couple in particular, going to Thailand, I went ahead, contacted my on-site teams. I said, what's going on there? You're my eyes and ears. And they were like, it's fine. We have all these safety precautions. I was checking, all the government warnings, and there weren't any at that time. So they went ahead and went to Thailand. I heard they landed there. They said, we are having the time of our lives. I was like, great. I don't like to bother anyone when they're on vacation, but I always give them my WhatsApp number so we could communicate for free over Wi-Fi, and it just is peace of mind. Huge. So people always connect with me through that. So they were having a great time. Days go by. I don't hear from them. I'm like, no news is good news. Yep. Like, I'm sure they're having a great time. And, things were intensifying over here. The first week of March, things were not shaking out. And I don't know if you remember it, that week was just terrible. So I just felt like there was so much weirdness going on in the world and no one knew what was going on. And then they called schools off and I was like, oh God. I have people in Thailand, right? I'm like, wait, if they're closing schools, this isn't going to pan out well. So my clients were there, stuck in Thailand. And I was like, oh my God. And then they put the ban in effect, the travel ban. And I was like, Oh my God. Picked up the phone. It was 10:30 here at night. And I was like, there is no time to wait. So I started texting them and they're like, oh my God, we're nervous. What do we do? Like they didn't know what to do. So I said, I will handle it. It's 10:30 at night. We are going to change your flights. So I started making some calls. I didn't make any headway. So I waited till the next morning. Things were closed. I did contact my on-site team. So those people were like, we are going to check in on them. We'll keep you posted. But, the time change is like 12 hours. So it's just really tough. So I wasn't getting through to any airlines. They were on Qatar and I wasn't getting through. They also had a layover. You're not going to fly direct from Phuket, Thailand, an island.
Happen.
So, I had to think about their connection too. They had 2 connections. So I had to think about that. Couldn't get through to Qatar. So I contacted my on-site team and I said, listen, go take the couple, bring them to the airport. We have to change their ticket. So they brought them to the airport. The client, he's calling me from the line. He's standing on line at the airport and he's like, Lauren, what should we do? They're telling us tonight it's going to be like $20,000 because they only had like first class crazy. And I said, listen, guys, I think you'll be okay. Book the next flight out. Mm-hmm. It was the same price. We were able to get it for the same price. I got on the phone with the desk attendant there and she was like, I rebooked. I said, do not leave that airport without those tickets in your hand. Like, get that. And they did. And then my team brought them back to the hotel. I don't know if it was a sound sleep, but at least they were able to have a cocktail or just relax on the beach one last night. And then we picked them up and got them back. But it was stressful because we didn't know if they were going to get checked by TSA, if they had to do the quarantine thing. Like at that time on that first day, like no one knew what was going on. I mean, there were still cruise ships at sea that day. So by the time, it took them 2 days to get home just because the time difference and the long flights, but they made it. And I was so relieved. I was like in tears. They were like, thank you so much. They're like, we don't know if we have jobs, but we're back.
But like, it's so crazy because imagine if they had to deal with that on their own. I mean, your advice of you called your team, had them pick them up and said, hey guys, just like take the ticket. Don't leave without it in your hand. You talking to the agent. It's like all these little things that, if somebody's being told, well, I have one ticket right now, it's $20,000 and it's first class. It's like, they might think, well, what do I do? And like, if you had waited, what if they got stuck? I mean, I know, like, for example, my mom, who's a flight attendant, like they were supposed to go back in, because her flight is Raleigh to London. Okay. So she was supposed to go back in June. Then it's July. Now it's August. So what if somebody was stuck over there?
Right. I know, it's crazy. And they couldn't afford it. Like, money came into play for them because they're like, we can't pay $20,000. I was like, no, that's insane. Yeah, I'm like, get her on the phone. Let me see what other... I found the flight that I wanted them on. So I just told her the flight number and I said, reticket them right now, blah, blah, blah. I just got in there and got it done for them.
Right. But again, who would want to deal with that? Yeah. Like...
And you're emotional. Like, if you're in that state, like, they were distraught. So I think not having that emotional piece and me just coming in there and getting it done totally helped.
Well, yeah, because you're not the one in Thailand, like, potentially stuck. And, I mean, did this cut their honeymoon short then? I would imagine.
Yeah, by 1 day.
Okay, so that's not even too bad.
It wasn't bad. It was at the tail end of their trip, and they were fine with it.
Yeah.
So,
well, I would say, I would say if it's let's go home at night early and make sure we actually get home and we're not stuck in Thailand for the next 3 or 4 months, where COVID is running rampant, and who knows what that care would be like. I mean, I have no idea. I know it's the whole thing has been insane, but I mean, again, it's just something that nobody thought would be a thing. And even, I've had this conversation about COVID with so many different wedding professionals because it's affected everybody. Right. And I don't think anybody realized that it would become what it has. I mean,
I know.
At first, when it was just being publicized that it was in China, I don't think any Americans, because we're Americans, thought, we were just kind of, I think, a little ignorant and said, oh, it's okay, it's in China, it's not going to come here. And then it got bad in Italy, and we were like, oh, it's in Italy. Like, that's a little closer to home. And then it started coming here. So, I mean, it's just, again, if I have to cancel something or reschedule something, that's one thing. But then getting stuck in a foreign country for potentially weeks or months is a whole other thing.
Yeah.
So.
And I think now people are just worried. They don't know what to expect. So since I've canceled so many trips and I'm not as busy because people aren't traveling right now, I spend a lot of time researching and figuring out, well, what is safe. A lot of the Caribbean has opened. Last week, Jamaica was running that whole thing. They opened up. It looks amazing. I've seen pictures of the airports, perfectly clean. And it's up to everyone's how they feel safe. Everyone's situation's different. So I don't want to blanket anything, but countries are opening up for tourism for U.S. tourists.
Right.
So,
well, and I think it depends on the person too. I mean, I've been traveling a ton and not recommending that to anybody, but for me, when I've been in the airport, I think I'm safer at an airport than in the grocery store.
Yeah.
Because they're putting so much effort into sanitizing the planes and sanitizing the airports and keeping people apart and doing all the things that they're supposed to do. And there's just so many less people.
Right.
So, and then I think about the grocery store and I'm like, everybody's everywhere.
I know when people are wearing masks, some aren't. It's just like a mess. And the airport, they can regulate that. So
much easier.
And even on resorts, we're finding a few colleagues just went to some resorts in Mexico and it's not as crowded. So hotels can't be at full capacity. They're only maybe at 50%. So that gives them the flexibility of spreading out, having the lounge chairs separated and a lot of outdoor. I mean, Caribbean, Mexico, most of those restaurants are outdoors anyway. So I think people do have some, if they feel confident to travel, I think it's doable to do it safely.
Yeah. I don't think people in Florida know that coronavirus is a thing.
My dad lives in Florida. I know. He's like paranoid, like everyone's out and about.
It's like it didn't happen. I mean, I got off the airport and this is my first time actually being in the Panhandle. So beautiful areas that we were by, like the Destin, Florida area.
Yes.
But oh my God. I mean, everybody is just on top of each other. Nobody's wearing masks. I mean, even restaurants or we're going down or we're at the beach and it's just like, I was like, do people know?
Do they get TV here? Do they get the internet here?
I was blown away especially because I had flown down there from Newark and the Northeast is still shut down. Yeah. I mean, Newark Airport, the restaurants are still closed. There was nobody. I mean, everything is just, it's like a ghost town. So then I get down to Florida and it's just like
a free fall.
I was like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing now. I get it. So I guess it depends on where you're going to because, that'll come into play. But, Florida, come on, guys.
Yeah, like I'm showcasing destinations in the U.S. this week just because I think that's where people feel most comfortable going.
I can see that,
in the near future. But you really have to know what the restrictions are in the place you're going within the U.S. Like, it's just crazy. So, you got to think if there's no restaurants open. It's just extra things to think about when traveling, when planning travel post-COVID.
And the restaurant thing is huge because, who wants to go on vacation and then have to be, cooking every single night? And, we had a house, so it's a little different. But if we hadn't, then you wouldn't necessarily even have a kitchen.
Right.
So you couldn't cook. And then what do you do?
Yeah. Order takeout, I guess, every night.
Yeah. And that, I don't know. It's just part of it, right? Like, I love restaurants and food, so having a good restaurant list is important for me. Yeah. So, I just think that would be part of the vacation taken away. But so where are kind of the post-COVID popular destinations that you're seeing right now?
Yeah, I think the Caribbean and Mexico is, people feel safe at a resort that has a lot of regulations and rules in place, and they don't have to leave. Everything's there, your food and drinks, so that's really safe for people. And I feel confident selling that. I had some, Hawaii is still on a 14-day quarantine. So yes, they're in the US, but, you don't want to get stuck there for 14 days, and there's a whole slew of issues with that. So it really depends on the type of vacation you want too. I think the easiest ones are just a beach getaway. We've all been home for so long. Now is not the time to go to the 7 wonders of the world and be going through Europe. I think that will come, but not yet.
Yeah. And, again, too, if you're getting stuck, I would feel like you want to get at least within the U.S., or if you're even, I don't know, maybe South America might be a little bit different, but you're kind of close
right
to home. You're on the same stretch of land. All the land is touching each other for the most part, minus Hawaii and the islands, but it's closer than going to Bali or to Europe or anywhere else.
And the Caribbean's catering towards American tourists and Canadian tourists. So they have focused on this, and they know what we want and what we're looking for and how to keep us safe.
Well, and I think that they're very cautious because they don't want it to come to the island, so they're trying to be extra careful and sanitizing, because if it outbreaks there, it's just even harder because it's such a confined area. So I feel like I would be more safe going there than Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, after what I just saw.
You might be right.
I mean, really though, I feel like they'd probably go above and beyond to keep things cleaner than most places.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure. This is just all my speculation.
Right. I mean, it's just so hard. The U.S. is just, some states are like still locked down and some are not. So it's kind of not that well regulated, or just so like
so much variation.
Yeah, there's so much variation. Whereas like Jamaica, they have it, they know what's going on, and that's the whole country.
Yeah, and that's nice too. So I know we talked about this a little bit, but what about couples? And I think you mentioned that they were going to postpone the license regulation that they were going to implement, and I think it was supposed to be October, right?
Right.
And passports.
Yeah. So the other thing thrown into all of this
one more thing.
I'm just like, oh my gosh. So the passport offices have closed because of COVID. So they stopped processing passports. It was only, death in the family immediate, very, strict rules to allow passport processing. So, that's fine. It's first come, first serve. I heard they were 6 million behind in applications. So I did hear, though, since we talked last week, the passport offices have opened.
Oh, great.
But they are so behind.
Oh, I bet.
I mean, beyond. So I don't know. We don't know yet when they're a timeline.
Yeah.
So my poor honeymooners that, they're kind of trying to do their wedding in the fall, and I have a handful of people still hoping for a honeymoon in the fall. They can't even go because her fiance doesn't have his passport. So, and hers is just saying process. So hers is sitting in a huge stack somewhere, and he can't go. So I told them right now, let's wait and see. I could get your deposit back. Let's just wait until you have to make your final payment, and then we'll decide then. Instead of just rushing and canceling, and then you don't have your room at the amazing rate we got. So, there's value in waiting and seeing depending on your situation.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Such a bummer.
Yeah, because if you don't have a passport, what do you do? And
you can't go.
Well, and it takes even without this, it takes a while. I remember I had to get mine renewed. I think it was probably 3 years ago, something like that. And that, I was even sweating a little bit, and now because it was starting to get close and it hadn't come yet. And I was like, I need this passport. We're going to Europe. I'm not trying to miss this trip. And luckily it came in time, but there weren't, all these other applications just in limbo because of COVID back then. So yeah.
And that's another thing we do. I get each passport from the bride and groom, because your passport has to be valid for 6 months after departure. So you might not know that, but they can deny you if it's within that time frame, depending on where you're going. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So there's some Caribbean islands that are not as strict, but just for the simplicity and to ensure that everyone has a valid passport. And we've learned that the hard way. There has been people that have gotten denied. So that was a few years back that we make sure your passports are valid.
Who is denying them? The
TSA, oh my God,
customs.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, customs. I mean, that's like not, it's up to everyone's responsibility to have your documentation together. But
Right.
yeah.
Oh my God.
So,
I didn't know that was
talk
a
about
thing.
a nightmare honeymoon if that happened.
And who would think, like, if 6 months, I guess, is kind of close with his, I think what most passports are 10 years.
Yeah, they're 10 years.
Something like that. But I mean, around year 10, you're probably not like actively checking the date unless something's coming up. So
Right.
then I can't even imagine.
And a lot of brides or grooms, but they want to change, the people that are changing their name, they're like, well, I don't want to renew, but you do have a year. If you do plan to change your name, you have a year to do a name change for free if you have a valid passport. So you don't have to purchase a new passport. If it's an active, if it expired, then all right, you have to get a new one. So a lot of people don't realize that you do have up to a year to change your name and get it on your passport.
Gotcha. Because what would happen if you changed it and then you didn't change on your passport? Will that prohibit your travel?
Right. So whatever is on your passport is the name that I need to book the tickets.
Okay,
so
got
it
it.
has to be on your documentation. And it really should be your legal name at the time we book the trip.
Got it.
So it is confusing. And again, this is why I'm here to help with all those details. And, fine print's like a nightmare when, a lot of people don't like to read through it. But those are some details that, you need to figure out.
Well, yeah. And especially if it's something like now where there's already a delay. Like for me, I would be like, oh, I'm not legally changing my name till we get back from this trip. Then we'll worry about all that. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Like you can change your like Instagram name or whatever you want.
Right. Change it on Facebook, whatever.
Yeah, you can do that thing. But like until then, I'm Cortney Cox.
Yeah.
Not changing it.
Right.
Wow. Again, it just goes to all the little nuances that people don't typically think about.
Right. I know.
Until this conversation, I didn't think about all these things. It's not only planning the best trip possible, but then protecting it and like ensuring it, not just like monetarily ensuring it, but like the peace of mind.
Totally.
Yeah, that's huge. Wow. So, I know we're kind of coming up on time here. I mean, what would be your ultimate travel tip or advice to any couple who, they're engaged, they're probably a little stressed out because they're rebooking things right now. Like, what would you recommend for them?
Yeah, I would recommend getting a travel agent if you really do. Shocker!
Yeah. I think that was the moral of the whole episode.
But, I think too is taking the time to plan it. I know there's so much that goes into a wedding and it's totally stressful on top of all of our world's events right now. Like all of our heads are spinning. But I think that finding someone that's going to be an advocate for you and on your side, not just trying to sell you something, I think there's so much value in that. And finding the right agent is huge. And, we're here to kind of help you through it to take that stress away.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you're your own business. You're not hired or you're not employed by a resort of any sort. So it's not like, and you don't have a quota of we need to book this many with this resort or this destination or whatever the case might be.
Right.
I think that just adds more to like the authenticity behind your intent of like, hey, we're trying to make this the best experience for you guys in your life. Like the wedding was fun, but like you're not even gonna remember that. Yeah. All you're gonna be thinking about is the honeymoon forever. And so I think that's really great. So tell everybody too where they can find you and get these cute little boxes sent and get all their travel needs booked.
Sure. Well, I love Instagram, so you can find me there every day on stories or doing something. The Travel Mechanic. My mom started the business, so her name is Jenny Mechanic, and that's where the story of the Travel Mechanic came from. But you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Lauren at thetravelmechanic.com, and I hope to help you guys.
Yeah, and check out her live with Erica. That was amazing. I loved that. And that was Erica's first one, so that was so great.
Love it.
Well, Lauren, I think that we're going to have like some side conversations on some trips that I need booked. But thank you so much for coming out. I think that you had so much great advice, and there's so much that I never thought about that I'm sure couples will find super helpful.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks. And thanks for the blue bubbly.
Yes.
Well, all right.
So fun.
Thanks, Scott.